Welcome to the Forever Cash Life Real Estate Investing Podcast with your hosts, Jack and Michelle Bosch. Together, let's uncover the secrets to building true wealth through real estate and living a purpose-driven life.
All right. Hello, this is Jack Bosch, and welcome to today's episode of the Forever Cash Life video and audio podcast. If you're listening to this on YouTube, if you're watching this on YouTube, we do have an audio podcast on iTunes. And if you're on iTunes, go over to YouTube and watch the episode on YouTube too. Right? Just look for Jack Bosch or for Land for Pennies, and you'll find us. And this is the Forever Cash Life Real Estate Podcast. Today's guest is actually one of our own, James Karban. He's one of our mentors in our land program. He's also a very highly successful real estate investor himself. Otherwise, he wouldn't be one of our mentors, right? And he has been, he lives in Florida, and he has been really doing amazing, really wonderful things in the real estate space. So with that, you already, if I want to say welcome, James. Can you hear me? Can you see me?
Yep, I see you. Thank you.
All right, wonderful. So great to have you here. How is life in Florida right now?
Actually lovely. We've got some lovely weather, and hopefully it carries through for the Tampa event because it's just been great. Wonderful.
Yeah. So we're doing this in the beginning of the year here. So when it's freezing cold, everyone else, and it's not in Florida. Neither is it in Arizona. We actually had a good couple of days right now. It's been a cold winter, but anyway, James, tell us. So you are doing land flips, but tell us a little bit about you. Tell us your story. How did you get started? Where you're from? When did you get started in real estate? And also, why did you get started in real estate? Why did you pick real estate?
Sure. I'm originally from Michigan. Spent some time in the Navy out in California. I joined that after high school. Got into the tech scene out in California. I became a webmaster right around 1999 or so. So I've been doing that for about 20 years. My specialty has been search engine optimization. I've always looked at real estate as a great investment vehicle. Didn't know much about it, but I ended up here in Florida. So I got licensed in 2013 to learn more about it. You came and spoke to our RIA back in 2014, and that's when I bought into your program. I was currently in some other creative real estate programs and things like that. And just land seemed to be a good fit for me personally. And largely because you talk about no tenants, no toilets, and no termites, right? I mean, it's right. 3 Ps. And it just seemed to be a good fit for what I wanted, especially with my busy schedule. I was in a startup. I was taking care of my dad. I was in a relationship. I was also sick. But I started doing deals in 2015, got my first properties under contract in 2015. Had some killer purchases, bought one for $4,000 that the seller paid, I think $94,000 back in 2005 or 6. So they took a $90,000 loss on their property. I feel bad for those people that did that, but they were smart enough to move on and write that off as a tax loss. I signed up for the coaching in 2016 and, learned a whole hell of a lot more there. It was a fast track acceleration to becoming successful. You guys asked me to become a coach, May of last year. So that's been working out well. And then I got my broker's license in September 2018. Basically I've opened up my own company. It's called Sell Land Fast. I do everything digitally because of my background in SEO. So I no longer send neutral letters for marketing. All my leads are organic, and I always send a paper offer though.
So what made you pick real estate over other things?
The thing I like about real estate is that it's more on my terms. I have more control over it. I know people that, say, why don't you do stocks or bonds or mutual funds? And I don't have any direct control over that. And you could say largely you don't have control over the market, but I know what I can buy for. And if I buy things correctly, which is what we teach in the program, is how to buy things right, you're not going to really lose money.
Like that deal that you just talked about. What was it? It was worth how much? Or you had bought it for how much before?
My big deal, the current one, yeah, that was, they bought it for 94,000 and I bought it for 4,000.
Now, jumping right into that. So we're talking about land flipping here. So why, well, I'll go back to that deal in a little bit, because I'm sure a whole bunch of people listening to that will say like, well, why in the world would they sell it so cheap? But we'll jump into that perhaps a little bit later. So first though, I wanna ask, like, so you picked real estate because you're more in control and so on, but why land? Doesn't always everyone, you talked about seller that I speak about, no tennis toilets, termites, but I'm sure if you got your real estate license, you were thoroughly brainwashed about houses.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, the housing market's great. The thing is that you really have to work it hard. You have to be sending out letters on a regular basis, and you have to be in the land business too. The nice thing is the level of competition for land versus houses is it's such a big difference. Land is so much easier because there is less competition.
For every one land guy, there's probably 1,000 house guys.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, I've got friends that crush it in the house market, and the amount of letters they have to do, the amount of promotions they have to do, just to, you know, to get some deals is crazy. No.
Yeah, I belong to a mastermind where I'm the only land guy and everyone else is house guys. And they're sending out relatively regularly 100,000 plus letters or postcards a month.
Yeah.
I mean, you haven't sent that many out in your entire history, and as you mentioned, you do it slightly different now, which we might jump into in just a moment. Because so houses, land. So when you heard land, you basically, what did you hear when you heard land?
I heard easier ways to accomplish the same kind of profit. You know, I had a creative real estate mentor tell me that, when are you going to stop doing these little land deals and start doing something where you can make significant money? And one of my last big deals was $103,000 in profit. So I didn't understand his question right there.
And even if you try to convince, like a man convinced against his will of us is of the same opinion still, as they say, right? So it's like when somebody, it's like talking about politics or religion or things, like somebody's convinced one way, it's you can't convince them another way, even if you show them a whole bunch of evidence of something. And so it's not even worth it. So I mean, yes, we teach this, we go around the country, tell everyone, but I can only teach, or I can only tell those who have their mind a little bit open to the possibility that there's something that is actually has the same profit margins, if not better, than houses, but less competition, less hassles, less complexities, and less work for that matter. I mean, not that there's not work, but there's less. Right. Yeah.
Well, come to find out, it's in my blood. My grandfather was a land banker, investor, and builder in Chicago. So.
All right, there we go. Now we're getting to the point. So you have your mind was open because you had seen it work before by somebody that you probably look up to some degree.
Well, I never knew him, actually.
Oh, okay.
From my understanding, he bought a property back in Chicago back in 1940 for like $14,000. And
that's a lot of money back then.
Yeah, he passed away before I was born, but they sold it in 1980 for like almost $4 million. So
yeah, there we go. I mean, that's like, I figured this out after my grandfather was had passed away for several years, that he, and I wrote that in the Forever Cash book, that he had been not a part-time, but an accidental flipper. Because I always wondered, he owned this large lot in a small town, but still a large lot with a 6-unit apartment complex in it, of which he lived in one and rented the other ones. And he never in his lifetime made more than $2,000 a month. And I was like, I never saw him having other jobs. He never ran a business. And I always scratched my head. It's like, how in the world could he do that? He was grown up. He grew up in Yugoslavia as a German in Yugoslavia. When the Russians came after the Second World War, he had to leave everything behind and literally just take a hand cart and walk over to Germany. And so he started absolutely nothing, never made more than $2,000, yet he owns this thing that's, and it's like, how can you do it? Did you just not eat and just save every penny? And as it turns out, sometime I walk with my relatives through a shopping area of a larger town close by, and my aunt goes like, oh, this is the hole in the wall that your grandfather bought right after the wall, and then he depreciated and he sold it. And it's like, what? So the thing is, it was a house flip, but sometimes we don't even know what people have done, but perhaps it was talked about in the family and they planted the seed, right? And that seed then, when you hear the right message, starts blooming.
Yeah.
Anyway, wonderful. So let's now, you're doing lentils. So just for the, to let everyone know, the kind of lentils that we are doing, James is doing, I'm doing, is the same as house flips. So we like to pick a piece of land under $100,000 and that the owners no longer want, and that you can literally pick up for 5 to 25 cents on the dollar. What do you pay on average for a piece of land, James?
That ranges, but it's going to be between 15 to 25 cents on the dollar.
All right. So wonderful. And then you have developed a strategy. Our typical strategy is that we do send out letters. We just don't have to send a fraction, or we have to send only a fraction of what the house flipper sent. But in your case, you have actually taken that and taken your personal expertise. And while you have done it the way we taught you, and you've done very well with it, you have over time, you have tweaked it a little bit. Tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. My website ranks pretty well in Google, and that's where I get all my leads. But my offer package is a little bit different. I use the same framework that's in the program.
Well, let's jump in one at a time, if I may address. So you instead of sending letters, what you're doing is you have gone, because you're an expert in that area, you have optimized websites such that people who want to sell their land and they're just randomly looking online and say like, want to sell my land or things, there's certain keywords that they put in, your website pops up. Is that about right?
Yeah. Yeah. They usually find me through Google. And then from there, they go to my website, fill out a contact form, and I start communicating with them.
Well, so in essence, it's a more, hey, I'm out there on the internet waiting for you. If they search for the right keywords, they find you. And the other approach is we're getting a list from the county of people that own property, and we send them actively a letter. So one is a more of a, hey, guys, you own something. Our ways, hey, you own something, call us. And yours is like, when they go look for somebody to sell their land to, your website is ready. So it's a very cool kind of different way. Not everyone can do what you're doing because it requires that expertise, but it goes to show that, now let me ask you, when you started out with our land program, did you right away do it that way, or did you first do it our way?
No, I sent letters, and to be honest with you, I think letters are easier.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, good. That's good to know. But I like it still anyway, because what we teach our students, as you know, what we teach people is first do it our way. And once you made it work our way and you got a few deals done, now feel free to tweak it whichever way you want to tweak it. And if you end up getting better results with your tweaks, go right ahead, continue that. If you don't, you now always at least know you can come back to the original way and keep your deals going. Is that your experience, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I try not to deviate as much. It's like you have a tested formula. So I didn't change my contracts. I may have added something to it here or there, but whatever works. I don't want to reinvent the wheel. You already have a great wheel. I just wanted to maybe put some rims on it for myself.
And then again, there's nothing wrong with that after you first do it, which is exactly like picture perfect example of how to do this properly. Do it the proper way first, and then afterwards, once you have done a few deals, you do it. You just adjust it to whichever freaking way you want to do it. I love it, love it, love it. So now you also adjusted your offer package a little bit. Tell us about that. So because just to let everyone know, if you're listening to this, typically what we do is we first send out the letter. Michelle and my wife and I, we have created and tested and split tested and optimized a letter that gets us anywhere from 5 to 15, even sometimes 20% response rates on our letter, on the first letter without having to send repetitive letters. And once we get those people to call us, we then do a little research and make them offers. So James, when you have an offer request come in, you do your research. What do you do different on the offers?
Well, what's interesting about that is when you send from a list, you have things like legal description, APN, stuff like that. So in our initial consultations, we need to get sometimes the owner of record, and we need to do that research to put into the offer. So we're doing some upfront research to begin with. And what's included is going to be, again, your offer cover letter that is from your system. We include the offer that is from your system. We use Exhibit A, and then I include a property analysis sheet that just, puts in some zip codes in the county and the state and makes it look like everything is in that area. And then we give them a few reasons why that the offer is low. And then from there, we give them another sheet that is a tax loss deduction letter that explains to them that they may be able to write off the loss of that property and that they should consult their accountant with that. I give them an instruction sheet on how to send the offer back, because believe it or not, people try to photograph stuff and email it to you. Like, I've gotten photographs of the offer, and my title company really doesn't like that. So I want to make sure that they get us the right paperwork back to us, the way it needs to come back to us. And then from there, I include a business reply envelope, which is just a postage permit that says no postage necessary if mailed in the United States, and it goes to my box that gets scanned into the cloud. And then I can take that PDF from the signed contract and send it off to the title company.
Love it. Very systematically done, very nicely done, very professionally done. And I also like that little feature with the posted permit, because in the past, when we send out offers, we used to include a prepaid envelope where we put an extra stamp on there, meaning you actually have to buy the stamp and put it on there. What you're doing is actually you got a permit that you pre-print on there, and that's your permit number on there, and you only pay postage when somebody actually uses it and sends that thing back to you. Mm-hmm. It's a cost saver. It's a very nice, good deal.
And I look big. I look bigger.
Yes, and you look like a professional company, which is actually another thing that when you do deals, do you like to look? It's obviously you like to look like a professional company, not just like a mom and pop down the road.
Sure.
And it's the same here, because I think that has something to do with psychology. Like, I never will get, when somebody, like, I get these letters. I live in a pretty nice house, and I get a letter, a handwritten letter on kind of like a semi-crumpled up little piece of paper that says, "Hi, my name is Jim and Susie Smith. I live here and there, and I want to buy your house." And so it's like, and I want to make you a real offer, and blah, 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 blah. And I look at that thing, and it's like, hey, this is a pretty expensive house. If you want to pay cash for this house, how come you don't have a printer?
Right?
To print your letter in. So I much rather respond to a company that looks very professional, that looks like there's some funding behind the scenes, so it actually looks like they're going to go through with their offer. And I think
you question the transaction, right?
Pardon?
You question the transaction.
Yeah.
Like, can these people really pull the trigger and buy this house? And, if it looks like they can't, then they're not going to contact you.
Exactly right. So, and that goes contrary to what a lot of people do there. Yes, it's about getting the people's attention, but it's also about getting them to believe and trust that you will follow through on their deal and you will give them the money that you promised to give them. And so both James and I, we go, and also we recommend that in our landprofitgenerator.com program, that we go about this in a professional way, and we portray ourselves as very professional. From the very beginning, no matter if you not have done a deal before. So now, over the last, like, how many deals a year do you do now?
I'd say average 50. I'm still working on my systems.
Yeah, 50 deals. When the guy says, when are you going to start doing some real land, some house deals? That's funny, right? Show me a bunch of house flippers that do more than 50 deals.
Well, it is nice, though. Sometimes I do get houses for my website. I just passed that off to a friend last summer. It was like one deal. It was maybe 5 minutes worth of work, and I made $6,500. So I mean, in that regard, it's pretty profitable. But
Yeah, that's very nice.
I'm
That's
not
very
spending
nice.
my time there.
Right.
I spend
Exactly.
my time on house.
Yeah. And I would never say you can't make money with houses. You can, of course, make a ton of money with houses.
Right.
It's just when you deal with land, you don't deal with inspections and mold and termites and all this kind of stuff. That's thing. So very nice. So now you're doing this full time, right? You do nothing else other than you came on board with us and
Yes.
mentor students. Now, how has that experience been for you?
Been pretty good, actually. You know, students are interesting. We were all beginners at some point in time, and some people come into the program and already in their second call, we're talking about making offers. Then you have some people who may need a little bit more coaching or a little bit more skill development, and we're on the sixth call and we're just getting offers or neutral letters out because they've either found a shiny object that they were chasing or something like that. So, but for the most part, things have been great.
Wonderful. Yeah, and that's actually another funny thing. We have been so spoiled in our land flipping industry that when we talk about somebody's only in their sixth, there's like down the road in their sixth call, which means they're 6 weeks into it and they're making offers. Like again, if you compare that to anyone else, I would want to throw that out to compare it, throw them out against anyone else there. Most people after 6 weeks, they haven't done anything yet. In our case, if somebody's not making offers by week, I don't know, 8, then they have been dragging their feet and chasing shiny objects instead of actually working the system.
Right.
And some actually literally, as you said, do it in the second week. So I find when I coach or mentor people that it's actually rewarding to both hopefully to them too, and apparently so because they all make money, but to me too, because I learn from them a ton too. Has that been the case for you too?
Oh, absolutely. You learn a lot of different things because, you know, we're not all working the same geographic areas. So one instance was we had that affidavit of use of the data that we're getting from the county, right? And it's like, never seen that before. And they were saying, is this for commercial or personal use? And, you know, we brought that up in the coaches meeting and it was one of those things like, hey, you know, it's for personal use because yes, even though we're sending letters, we're not reselling the information. It's just those kinds of things, that questions that come up that students face. It's like, I haven't worked that county. I've never seen that before, but we'll rectify that issue for sure.
We'll figure it out. There's a group of coaches, exactly, of mentors. Yeah, wonderful. Great. So now, what do you think was, it's a hard question. So what impact has real estate and obviously land flipping in particular had on you?
Well, there's lots. I would say 1, financial freedom. 2, freedom of my time. All right, because we look at this in different ways, right? We have 3 basic ways of abundance, I guess. You have time, income, and mobility. And when we look at those 3 things in our life, that's truly what we're looking for, I think, when we are in the real estate market or just in the business of real estate. And the benefits, yeah, you can make good money, but your time can be your own, and you can have the mobility to work from a lot of different places or to go travel or whatever you want to do. So I would say it'd be those three things.
Wonderful. I mean, at the end of that, it's about time, money, and the ability to spend that time and money with whom and where you want to.
Yeah.
Which goes to the point of mobility, right? Yeah. So wonderful. So that's all it's about. So I'm excited. Now, you mentioned that before you gotten your real estate license. Did you ever flip some houses, or you just got them, started education, and then came right into the land business?
I did some house deals, and you know they were pretty quick and easy. I've had some commissions, you know, sold some houses, sold some condos. Right now, I'm actually working on a certification for land specifically through the realtors, and that's going to be for brokering really big deals like, you know, 300-acre farms and things like that.
Yeah,
So
because those deals come your way sometimes too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Very nice. So now let's go back to that initial question. There's a guy that bought a property for $94,000 and sold it to you for $4,000. Why in the world would anyone do that?
I'm still asking myself that. My best guess is the fact that they were tired of paying property taxes. They had an HOA on the property, and maybe they didn't have the vision to sell it or to build on it or some reason. But regardless, they bought it the wrong time too, which timing has, we deal with a lot of people that bought in 2005 and 6, right? And
Yep.
they're angry. And, if you try to offer them some comfort and some way out, and help them realize that they way overpaid for the property, and people don't really like to dwell on that thought, right? I screwed up, I overpaid, I'm hosed. It's just, if we can help them move past that. And, many times I tell my students that we want to be transformational instead of transactional when we deal with these sellers.
Absolutely.
Because,
one of our core values in our company, to be transformational. So, yeah.
Right. We solve problems.
Mm-hmm. Great. So, I'm just literally today, I'm selling a property that I bought for $10,000. I'm selling it for $47,000.
That's lovely.
It's a nice little deal, right? And getting another offer in for a property that we bought for $92,000, and we're selling it for $220,000. So that's a $128,000 profit, and it's a seller financing deal that will turn into a $250,000 profit.
Yeah.
So these are deals that are happening on an ongoing basis right now. And so why do people sell those? I mean, why does somebody want to do a garage sale and sell a $100 bike for $10 or $300 bike or grandmother's cuckoo clock or whatever watch that is antique and worth $10,000, and they sell it for $50? Now, they might not know that it's that, but in many cases, they are actually aware of what it's worth. They just don't want to deal with it. Why does somebody sell a house that is absolutely livable for $50,000 below market value? You see it on television all day long. Why do they do that? Because they don't have the vision to see what can be done with it. They don't have the vision of looking at who is the best customer for that. They don't know how to list the property. They don't know how to make them look good, all of which is covered in our Land Profit Generator program. So we have the link for it below. We put the link in the show notes. You can simply go to landprofitgenerator.com and check out the webinar and the things over there. But all of this, the exact details of how to get these deals and how to list them, are available right there on that in that program. So now, James, one last question that you have. Now, you have gone to 2 questions. So you have gone to mentoring yourself.
Yes.
And now, if you compare, what do you think would have been your trajectory having not gone through mentoring versus having gone through mentoring?
Well, I did deals before I had the coach, which was great, but it was a fast track. Again, the speed. You have a question. It's like having a connection to direct source for the most part. It's like Jonathan was my coach, and I just asked him a question like, how do I do this? And, what do I need to look for in a deed? And
sometimes might take you a week to figure out. You can figure it out in 5 minutes.
Right, exactly. It was the speed. Speed was a big thing.
Yeah, wonderful. And now, having said that, how fast would you have been able to crank up? I'm like, is there any, you said there's a time savings. Can you quantify that in any shape or form? Or it's like, I know, for example, that without having even a course, anything, because Michelle and I came up with this program, it took us 3 years of dabbling and trying back and forth to make this work. Once we made this work, we went from $0 to $1 million in profits in 18 months. Right now, some of our mentors are beating us to that. Some of our students are beating us to that. So I know that, yet I see the people who are not in a mentorship, and they're regularly taking 2 to 3 years to get up on their feet, and the ones in mentorship, they're up on their feet in 3 to 6 months.
Sure.
So since you have done deals before, how is there any quantifiable thing that you can put together? It's like, because of it, I think it saved me X amount of time or so? Just trying to ask. If not, no big deal.
Yeah. Well, I would say, before I was at a couple deals a year, and after that, it just ramped up significantly from 20 to 30, now 50. So it's just one of those things that makes.
So it didn't accelerate your ability to do deals. It accelerated the ability to do more deals in the same time, and
Sure.
therefore obviously making more money. Now, how much do you think on the average deal? What's kind of the range that you make on an average deal and then on a high deal?
That just depends. Like I've done some really big deals, but the average I say would be about $4 or $5 grand.
All right, so these are smaller deals, but there's like a
wholesaling Florida deals.
Yeah. And then a higher end deal would be
50 grand.
All right, so 4 to 50 grand, nothing wrong with that. You can definitely pay your bills with that, especially if you do like 50. Now everyone can do their own math now and calculate what the range of your income is, right? But I hope that's okay. But the point is, even if you take the bottom end of that, it beats most people with a salary.
Well, what's interesting too is that my fiance got angry at me when I did this deal in St. Cloud, Florida, where we made the 50 grand. I made 50 grand after everything was said and done, paid back investors and whatnot. And she realized that was her salary, pretty much for the most part, for a whole year's worth of work that took me 5 or 6 hours worth of work.
And that's the thing. So wonderful. I mean,
she's coming to the event now. She's coming to Tampa. So
wonderful. So this is, by the way, this is actually quite frequently when this happens. We have another mentorship student, Nirav. He has done several deals already, sold his business because of this, and now actually he is for the last half a year. So it's been always him. At our next live event coming up, he actually is bringing his wife now. Because now his wife has a separate business she wants to sell her business to, and she wants to get in. Sometimes it just takes a little bit until you see the actual checks coming in for the family members to come all on board. But now they see it, and they're like, okay, I want a piece of that. And so I'm very excited to have her come to the event. What was that?
My daughter just signed up with us to do a deal. She took some student loan money that she's got. She doesn't have to pay back right this minute. And she gave us like $2,500, and we did a joint deal. We bought it for $5 grand. We'll sell it for probably 25, and then we're going to split it 50-50. So it's great. It's trickling down in the family, and she's a finance major. She sees the numbers. She knows that she doesn't want to have to work for her money.
Right. Absolutely wonderful, awesome. So, man, thank you very much for being here in the podcast with me. I hope you all enjoyed it. James, just one last question I have for you. Do you have any kind of parting words that you would leave with us? Give you a couple of seconds to think about it. In the meantime, again, if you want to learn about what we're doing here, you can just simply go to landprofitgenerator.com, or you can call our phone number 602-712-0182. Again, 602-712-0182. We're putting both of these numbers and links into the show notes, or if you're watching this on YouTube, underneath this video, you should find them. And so I'm excited to have had James on the podcast here. Thank you very much, James. And do you have any kind of parting words that you want to impart?
Yeah, I'll just tell you right off the bat, guys. Don't let fear stop you. All right, take action, because that's really where it's at. Get in line and stay in line, and just keep going.
Wonderful. All right. With that, thank you very much. My name is Jack Bosch. Thank you, James, for being on the line with us. And I'll see you next week, or as soon as possible, on the next Forever Cash Live Real Estate Podcast with Jack Bosch. All right. Bye-bye.
Awesome. Take care.
Enjoyed this episode? Then make sure you like, subscribe, and post your comments and questions below the video. We're looking forward to hearing from you.